and welcome back to Marketing Mondays with Itani and Company. Today I wanted to talk about a subject that's become extremely polarizing in the marketing world, and that's the topic of influencers. Now, the word influencer evokes different emotions in different people, with brands believing that they're some sort of gold mine for the business, but unsure how to work with them, agencies growing very frustrated with the immense amount of Insta-fashionistas sending rate cards their ways, and audiences growing very wary of the clear sponsored content that doesn't really appeal to them anymore. So in 2017, is influencer marketing all just a sham? Well, I think let's take it back a step and first think about what is an influencer and who qualifies to be an influencer. So an influencer is any figure on social media or digital channels who has a significant following that respects, believes, and acts upon this person's opinion. Now, while the two words are used interchangeably, influencers are not necessarily bloggers, but bloggers are influencers. So please do not refer to people who don't actually have a blog or publish content on a blog as bloggers, because blogging takes quite a significant amount of work, and not all influencers are bloggers. Now, so why has that term taken such a dirty connotation? I think it's a mix, honestly, of two things: semantics and industry abuse. Now, when it comes to semantics, the word influencer already suggests that the people who follow this person are sheep-like and are easily influenced. So I tell you to go buy this mascara and poof, you're influenced to buy it. Nobody really wants to see themselves in that way, and more likely they'd want to have the acknowledgement that they've chosen to follow this person because they appreciate the content, not because they're blindly following them. Now, the second part of this is industry abuse. And so influencing really has only come to light and become a huge thing in the last 5 years, and really more so in the last 2 years. And because it's an industry that's still very much in its infancy, there are no real guidelines or ethical rules about how to operate. So while most influencers start out by genuinely recommending things and creating content that is authentic, once they grow to a certain degree, it's open season. And they want to make money, which is fair enough. When you can monetize your feed, why shouldn't you? But when every other week you're recommending a different brand, a competitive brand, changing your opinions on things based on the highest bidder, audiences clearly understand that, see through you, and just don't believe you anymore. And so what's happened is that social media users have just begun to clump all influencers in one big dubious pile and say, nope, not going to believe anything they suggest. Which is unfortunate, because there's a lot of genuine and good content creators who believe in what they're recommending who are being dumped into that pile. So does that mean that we shouldn't use influencers, that influencers are going to go away somehow? I don't think so. And a Twitter study from 2016 actually claims that still 40% of people say that they actually will buy something directly suggested by an influencer. So there's still quite power there, and the power is probably going to grow. We just need to shift a little bit how we work with these people. So I've come up with 6 tips that I give my clients, and I'd like to give to you today, about how to work with influencers. The first one being, and I think probably the most important one that a lot of people miss, is relevance. Just because somebody has a massive audience and seems like they are nice and get good response from their followers doesn't make them the right fit for you. Numbers aren't everything, and you have to find a person who actually makes sense for your brand and is credible with your audience. So are those person's followers actually from the market that you're targeting? Do they respond to the person, and would they be the same kind of people that you would target for your business? So if you're a fitness brand and you want to promote some fitness wear, but you choose a fashion blogger that has a huge following and is very influential, but has never shown an interest in fitness, what makes you believe that her followers are interested in fitness? Those are important questions. You have to choose someone who makes sense for your brand. Second is engagement. Now, numbers aren't everything in terms of the mass amount of top-line followers doesn't necessarily mean much because maybe they're not relevant to you, similar to point number one. And maybe they're also fake. With the rise of fake profiles, Instagram, growth accelerator programs, and all sorts of nonsense that's happening online right now, then top-line number doesn't really mean much. You have to look at engagement numbers and how involved are the followers with this influencer and how much do they communicate. So keep an eye out for red flags like phony profiles, phony comments, and fishy behavior overall, and really monitor someone's feed for engagement, for positive engagement from the audience before choosing to work with them. Now, the third point is one that I've seen cause lots of clashes between brands and influencers, and that's not setting clear expectations. So you must set clear expectations from the get-go of what you want. What are you willing to pay, and what is the influencer willing to give you in return? Once that awkward conversation is out of the way, then you can get on to create content that makes sense for both of you. I've seen a lot of times brands give free services or free products and expect the world in return, whereas the influencer says, well, you just gave me a free product. I get that all the time. You'll get a snap story. That's about it. To avoid these awkward situations and have the awkward conversation at the beginning and draw up a simple agreement, even if you just write it into an email, at least it's written and set. The fourth point is allow the influencer to use their authentic voice. I know as a brand manager or a marketer, it's important to have the same message across all of your different channels. But if you force your brand's language upon the influencer and make the messaging very obvious, it's going to come off as inauthentic. And one of the main reasons people follow influencers rather than celebrities, or believe them rather than celebrities, is because of the relatability and the authenticity. So don't lose that by forcing your messaging. Have a creative meeting with the influencer ahead of time, explain your key messaging, what you want communicated, and they'll figure out a way to integrate that into their regular style. And the fifth tip is long-term relationships. Over 70% of marketers who have worked with influencer marketing say that long-term ambassadorships are the best way to move forward in this, with this tool. A one-off post is very clearly an ad for the audience members and very rarely yields the kind of results you're looking for. Find influencers that are relevant enough to your business that you could work with on a long-term basis, because a regular stream of content about your brand is much more believable for an audience and will probably lead to better conversions of interest. And the final tip that I have is to find a way to make this collaboration trackable. Now, our measuring ROI is important in all marketing, but especially when it comes to working with influencers, because you need to prove whether or not this makes sense for you. So the first thing you need to do is determine what your objective is from this collaboration. Is it to drive traffic to your website? Is it to create awareness around a specific product? Is it to increase your following on social media? What is the objective that you have? From that, you and the influencer can collaborate to create content that builds to that objective, and you have to integrate a way to track this. For example, a local UAE-based website, Kidor.com, is a children's marketplace for children's products and clothes and toys. They wanted to push sales prior to the mass UAE summer exodus, and so they collaborated with Louise from the blog Mom of Boys and Mabel to create specific packages that are travel packs that she would create and curate and then promote on her pages. Now, because these packs were specific to this blogger and only promoted via her channels, it was very easy to track what kind of business she brought to the website, and the results were phenomenal. Because Louise took her role seriously as a curator and a promoter, Kidor actually reached double their sales target in the month of this collaboration. It was the perfect influencer marketing collaboration. If you're looking to do something like drive traffic to your website, you could set up a separate landing page that's specific to that blogger and that influencer. There I go, also making that mistake. and only give that person the URL address to communicate. So then you can directly track how much traffic this person is driving to your website. Whatever you do, find a way to track it, and make sure that your team is looking after what kind of ROI you are getting from this collaboration. So I hope those 6 tips help you work with influencers better. Influencers probably aren't going away anytime soon, but it's up to us as marketers to set better expectations and demand professionalism. There are great professional content creators out there that you can work with. You just have to find them and pay them well. Remember, good exposure isn't free, so don't expect people to work with you and promote your brand just for the honor of doing so.